Okay, so Notion have just shipped an update on their MCP server. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you can now do with the Notion MCP tool. What we're going to do is we're going to turn a PRD into a prototype app within 15 minutes. So we're going to use Claude to create the PRD, and then we're going to set up the Notion MCP on Cursor to access the PRD via Notion and build the app. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the PRD. If you want to see the prompt templates for building a PRD within 15 minutes, go over to snapperai.io. You can scroll down here to watch the video, or you can click here to get the templates. I won't show you how this stage works in this video. We'll just look at the Notion MCP and actually building the app. But if you do have a PRD ready to go, you can skip straight to this step, and this will be how you can turn your PRD into a working prototype using Cursor and the Notion MCP. Okay, so the first step is to make sure we've got Notion connected to Claude. What we want to do is create our PRD within Claude. We'll use the PRD prompt template system to do that. Then what we want to do is via the Notion connector here in Claude, instruct Claude to create a new page in Notion with the PRD. That way, when we jump into Claude code in our cursor directory, what we can do via the Notion MCP is instruct it to search and find the PRD that's in Notion, and then it will be able to just build what we want it to build based on the content within that PRD. So what we're doing here is building our PRD, pushing that to our Notion database so that we have it stored there, and then using that Notion MCP to then fetch and build based on the PRD. So we're automating that process. We're going from PRD to prototype within 15 minutes. So step one, if we click on the search and tools button here in Claude, we can see we've got Notion connected. If you don't see that, you just need to click on add connectors. That'll open up this pop-up where you can then search for Notion. You can see I've already connected it, but you'll just click the plus icon if you haven't done it yet. It'll prompt you to then log in and authorize Notion, so you've got that set up as a connector. So we've done that. Now that we've got the Notion connector set up, what we can do here is now say to Claude, create a new page in Notion called to do app product requirements document, and write the PRD to that page. So you can see here it's now using the Notion Create Pages tool via that connector, and what it's going to do is now write this PRD that we can see on the right side. It will write that as a new page in Notion. So when we jump over to Notion, we should see that new page has been created. It's now asking for permission to use that tool, so the Notion Create Pages tool. It's going to ask you each time for permission to do this. You can click allow always if you want it to just go ahead and do these things, but I'll just do allow once for now. So you've given it permission now to create that new page in Notion. So you can see here I've also now just followed up and said write the PRD as a new page with the same title in the PRD database in Notion. So if we jump back to Notion, you can see here I've got a PRD database that I've already created, and rather than just writing it as a new page as it did initially, I'd rather it created as a new page within this database. So you can instruct it to write it to specific databases or projects within Notion. And if we go back to Notion here, you can see it's now called on several tools in order to execute this task. It's first used the search tool to search for PRD database. It's then used fetch to fetch the contents of PRD database, and now it's using the create pages tool to write to that database specifically. So this is just for better organization. If you want to organize and structure your files within Notion in a particular way, you can instruct Claude to write the files as a new page in whatever database or project you're working in within Notion. And the real benefit of Notion connector within Claude on its own is the ability to organize a lot of the artifacts that you create within Claude or ChatGPT. It's easy to get lost with all the artifacts that you create within your Claude sessions, and if you download them locally, they can get lost and pretty messy as well. So using this Notion connector and organizing your artifacts via Notion is a really good way to just keep everything organized so you don't lose any files and you know exactly where to go if you need to revisit an artifact later on. You can see here it's now finished, so it's written the page to the PRD database. So we'll jump back over there and we can see it is here now. So it has successfully written the PRD as a new page within the PRD database. So it followed our instructions there. If we open that up, we can see the PRD is written and formatted correctly here. So that's great. We've got everything we need now within Notion. So what we'll do now is we'll jump back over to Cursor and we'll connect the Notion MCP, and then we'll instruct it to fetch this PRD and build it, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here we are now in Cursor. We've got our new project directory here that's specifically for this project that we're going to build with the PRD. What we want to do now is set up our Notion MCP. So to do that, what you want to do in Cursor is go to the top right, click Open Settings, go to Tools and Integrations, then we can see MCP Tools here. We want to click Add Custom MCP. That will open up a JSON file, and then you want to add in the details for the Notion MCP. So I'll just copy paste that. If you're not sure what the details are that you need to add in and how this file needs to be built to activate the Notion MCP, you can ask ChatGPT. If you're using the Cursor version here, you can even ask GPT-5 in this chat window here. If you're using Claude Code, you can ask Claude Code. So whatever MCP server you're trying to set up and you're not sure how to do it, I'd recommend just asking either ChatGPT or Claude how to do that, and it will help you get these details correct. Okay, so now that we've saved this file here with the updated Notion MCP server, we can go back to Settings, Tools and Integrations, and we can see now that Notion is available here in our MCP tools, but we need to log in to finish that connection. So we click Needs Login, and that's going to open up a window for you to just approve access to Notion. So as you can see here, this is the window that popped up. All I need to do is click Continue to connect with the Notion MCP. That's then going to prompt me to open Cursor again. And then back in Cursor, it's going to ask us to allow that access. So we'll click Open. We can see it's loading tools. 13 tools are now enabled. So we have that set up within Cursor. We can see if we expand that, we can see the exact tools that we have access to: search, fetch, create pages, update page. So all of these same tools that were available to us in our Claude chat via the connector are now available to us here in Cursor. Okay, so now that we've set up the Notion MCP here in Cursor, what that allows us to do is use this chat window here to access and use those Notion MCP tools. So if you're using Cursor itself as your chat agent, so GPT-5 on the right hand side here, for example, this is the setup that you need in order to be able to use the MCP tools. So I'll just say in this window, just to show you, can you tell me what Notion MCP tools you have access to? We can see here it's replied Notion MCP tools available, so it's confirmed that those tools that we've talked about are accessible via this chat window. So that's Cursor set up. So again, if you are using Cursor and this chat agent within Cursor for your projects, you're ready to go now. You can just add your prompt in here and ask it what to do within Notion. Okay, so at the time of recording, there's an issue with the Notion Claude Code integration. I'm getting a internal server error when I try to authenticate. So what I'm going to do for this video is use the Cursor chat. So most people watching this that use Cursor will probably use Cursor anyway. So for the sake of this video, we'll do that. So I'll copy across the prompt now into this window. We've confirmed that the chat agent here within Cursor can access the Notion MCP tools. We've then got our prompt ready, which is find the to-do app product requirements document in my PRD database via the Notion MCP. Read all the requirements and build a working React prototype that implements exactly what's specified. Start by confirming that you understand the requirements and create a to-do list before you start any work. So we'll send that. We can see it's thinking process here. It's looking up the PRD in Notion, so we can see here it's called the search. It's fetching the PRD page from Notion now to extract all the requirements, so it's called fetch. which is that Notion MCP tool. So we can see here it's read the PRD and understands the scope. We can also see here, so where it says called fetch, we could just expand that and see exactly what it has done for this step. So if we want to confirm that it's definitely read the right document, we can scroll down here and we can see in this metadata that it has read the Notion file. We can see here the title of the file that it's read is to do app product requirements document. So that's our PRD in Notion, so we can confirm it's definitely read it. And then it has outlined the implementation to-do list. So what we're going to do now is follow up and say start the build process, and we'll now allow it to then build based on the to-do list that it's created. So we can see here project setup, types and state, components, filtering and counts, styling and interactions. It's mapped out exactly what it needs to do now to build the to-do app based off our PRD. So we'll let it work here and build out what we've outlined in our PRD. So the rest of this process is essentially letting GPT-5 in this case do the work to install everything. We can see on the left hand side now our project directory is taking shape. We've got our package.json. We've got our source folder with the stylings and the Vite file and the main.typescript file as well. So all of this code is taking place. You can see here this is the skeleton when you create a new TypeScript project here, a React project. So okay, so it's finished building. I gave it a follow-up prompt because the formatting, the styling of the to-do app wasn't right on the first build attempt. So based on that prompt, it's now built the to-do app. We'll jump over now and have a look at how it's working. Okay, so here we can see our to-do app, which we're running in dev mode. There's a text input field here where we can add in our to-do items, so what needs to be done. So we'll just add something in here. We'll say grocery shopping needs to be done, so we'll add that. We click add. We're on completed, so if we switch over to all, we'll see grocery shopping is there. We can delete the item or we can tick it once we've done it. We might add something else in. We'll say haircut, put bins out, and wash the car. So we've got 4 items now on our to-do list. If we flick over to active, we can see all. If we go back to completed, we can see no completed tasks, and we can see bottom right 4 items left. So let's just tick off wash the car. So that one's done. We can go back to active, so now we can see which ones we still need to do. If we go to completed, we can see wash the car here. It's been crossed out. We've completed that. So we can go back to the start again. If we click on all, we can see all the tasks again. So if we go back to active, we can see the remaining tasks we need to do. Let's say we've put the bins out. We go back to completed. Let's clear completed, so they're gone. And now if we go back to active, there's only the 2 remaining tasks. If we go to all, there's 2 there. We've cleared the completed ones. So within 15 minutes, essentially, we've gone from an idea to a PRD to a prototype in Cursor using Claude to do our PRD and our prompt template system, and the Notion MCP within Cursor to fetch the PRD and build the app based on what we've outlined in our product requirements document of what we want this to be. So a simple to-do app we've built really quickly, and that's an example of how you can use these tools to build apps and landing pages really quick. Obviously, the way we structured this project, you could just copy paste the PRD directly from Claude into Cursor. We used the Notion MCP to show you how you can use that MCP tool set to do a lot of your tasks. Where that would become valuable is when you get a more complex project where there's a lot of files. Potentially if you're building a lot of apps, you've then got a lot of PRDs and you want to be able to organize those files, that's when Notion really becomes valuable, because all of these artifacts you create within Claude and ChatGPT, you can then organize and store them within Notion. So whatever project you're working on, you've got the ability to, reference documents whenever you need to. You can use ChatGPT or Claude, as we've done in this session, to find and search for those artifacts and files within Notion. So it becomes a really effective way to organize your entire project, avoid any issues that you might have where if all of your files are living within Claude as artifacts, it's easy to lose track of them, and it becomes a bit of a mess over time if you're working on a lot of things. So hopefully you found this valuable. Again, I'll jump over and show you how you can access the PRD template. So if you want to execute this entire workflow from start to finish, you can use the PRD template system I've created to automate the process of creating that PRD up front. Okay, so if you head over to snapperai.io, you can access the PRD templates via the link here in the top right. Otherwise, you can scroll down and there's a section here, create PRDs in 15 minutes. There's a link here to the video I published on YouTube that walks through the entire process of how to use the templates to create PRDs in 15 minutes. So if you haven't watched that yet, you can access the video here via this link. If you want the templates, then you can just click on this Get PRD Templates button. That's going to take you through to this PRD templates page here. All you need to do then is enter your first name and your email, click the link, and they should be in your inbox within a few minutes. So if you do want the PRD templates so you can create your own PRDs using this system, that's how to do it. Thanks for watching the video. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them below. Thanks.